allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, boys.
I know, I can't do that. Okay, has everyone had a chance to review all the minutes from February 3rd regular, February 12th work, and February 15th special meetings?
Move to approve.
Second.
We moved and seconded that we approve February 3rd, February 12th, February 15th meeting minutes as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Donnie, do you have anything from the chamber?
Just a reminder of the meeting, I think is the 16th of March, I believe.
Yep.
That's going to be about a stellar grant that they're trying to partnership with other communities, Cambridge City, Hagerstown City as well. We'll learn more about that on the 16th.
Will you be in attendance on that one?
Yes.
Okay. That isn't an afternoon meeting, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
Here? Yeah, we'll have everything.
Okay.
Okay, Heart of Hagerstown.
Okay, I'm not gonna try to stand up so I'm not this printer over and you guys won't be happy about that.
I would.
A couple things that we're working on. Townwide garage sale is slated for Saturday, May 16th. Same weekend as we had it last year. We will need nothing from the town because that's pretty much everybody does that in their yards, and we don't close streets or sidewalks or anything. It's just we promote the event and just try to draw people to town. Still working on Wayne County weekends to see where that's going to go with the chamber, how they're going to promote, how we're going to promote those this year. Working on a art show in conjunction with the school art departments and the museum, trying to do something with them to kind of try to get everybody together and benefit all of us and get us all some exposure. And that is what we have coming up. We do have 2 open positions on the board. If anybody knows of anybody that would like to serve on that board, it's a grand position board and pays a lot, so.
What's your requirements on the board, Donnie, around the area?
Pretty much in the 47346 zip code. I mean, that's really
You
what.
don't have to be a merchant.
No, because we are open to businesses and individuals in the 47346 zip code. Anybody that has an interest in our downtown and our main street is pretty much our mission statement. And our next meeting is May 10th.
Okay. Masonic Lodge.
Did I give you guys a copy of the letter? Yeah.
Was that doing a,
Huh?
was it about a reimbursement or credit for the city?
Yeah, the lodge, Masonic Lodge.
I saw one of it.
They had a leak, and the credit for the sewer would be $168.35. They're asking for forgiveness for that.
Do I hear a motion?
I don't remember the lot, so I'll stay.
Okay.
I move that we provide the credit to the Masonic Lodge in the amount of $168.35.
I'll second that.
We moved and seconded that we approve a refund on sewer bill of $168.35 to the Hagerstown Masonic Lodge, number 49. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, Brad.
That's the
And
top
Jeff.
hitter.
Well, good evening, everybody. Once again, we're here from Nettle Creek Players to inform you as our season is coming along and when we would be starting our season as far as the tent. It would be, we were looking to have the tent go up on July 2nd, and it would come down on August 3rd. Our season would be, we are going to have 2 complete musical theater performances this year, changing our season up a little bit. to where we will be presenting Oliver for the first 2 weeks of our season. And that will open on July 9th. It'll run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the following week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Sunday performances will be a matinee starting at 5. And then right after that show closes, the following Thursday we'll be opening up with A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And that will run for 2 weeks, the same schedule. It will close on Sunday, August 2nd. The tent would be coming down on Monday, August 3rd. So that's where we're at this point. We do have as we continue to grow, we have a major fundraiser coming up on Saturday, April 18th, called Spring into the Arts. It is our cooking challenge. Once again, it will be at the Cope Center, because I know that it works out for a little bit larger capacity, and we have some incredible, I brought some information on it so you can just see some of the flyers. But we have quite a bit going on there. It will be a little bit different this year. We'll be having celebrity chefs, locally owned business restaurant type competitions, where in the past we didn't really do professionals. We'll have 3 divisions: celebrity, professional, with the locally owned businesses throughout the county, throughout our area here, and also amateur chefs. We'll have prizes for an award for each division, and it'll be pretty much similar to what we have done when we first started this cooking challenge. So that's coming up, and I'm here to ask once again to see if the town is okay with us having our tent over here where we've had it in the past. And I know you've been very generous with us with the electric, allowing us to have the tent, and I know you've also allowed us during performances to use the restrooms here, and I know last year we made sure everything stayed good and clean. We provided our own supplies, and we had a restroom attendant on duty the whole time. So, well, and Brad and I made sure that the restrooms stayed clean and everybody did what they were supposed to do, and there was no vandalizing going on.
We're also partnering with Ivy Tech Drama Club this year, so they'll be helping us out, doing some things as far as fundraising, doing some local things. We're trying to expand the group more and more as we go. What we did with the shows changing up, I talked to a lot of people in town this year. What do you want to see? What do you want to do? What kind of advice? We're going to try to get more local students involved in the programs as well. So I don't know if you saw my article in the paper, but I'm really pushing Hagerstown, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, is to do stuff more for Hagerstown.
Brad has really done a very good job with us as our business manager and now our CEO, executive director, however you want to call it. I'm board president, but Brad handles all of our day-to-day operations and is the liaison for everybody here in town. We work very well together. We have a new artistic director this year, Greg Gassman, who was our technical director last year. He is putting both shows together. He's got over 40 years experience doing this in every facet that you can imagine. So Greg, you probably saw him out here last year if you came to any of the shows. But this weekend we have auditions for, in this area we have them at Earlham College. I know one of our board members, Elizabeth Strachner, she's a teacher here in Hagerstown at the high school. She's working to help drive some of that there also. We also have auditions in Fort Wayne at the Purdue University campus there. So we've got most of our core cast put together, but we're filling it out, including the lead role as Oliver, with people from the community, whether they be children, teenagers, adults, anybody that wants to be a part of this, we're encouraging them to be a part of it. So we can actually get a lot more community engagement. One thing Greg will be doing, we will be, during the days of rehearsals, he is going to be working with like a children's workshop, a young people's workshop, where in the past we've tried to do a camp. We're not doing that. It's just going to be come in and work with us. We're gonna try to bring that in to increase the community engagement. But as Brad said, a new board member is Stephanie Hill Alexander, who's a professor at Ivy Tech. She is also the advisor for their drama club, and it's something new. They approached us. We've been talking to them, and we're going to be working with their students to help them learn more about the theater and the dramatic arts. So with that, that's pretty much where we stand right now.
I have one question.
Yes.
Have you gotten the quote on the tent yet?
Yes, I have it right here. Actually, I've got some paperwork on it, or I can just give you the amount, or I can give you the paper, whatever you like. But the tent is the same as last year. It's a 30 by 60 white top tent. It will have the side walls going around it. We'll also have the fire extinguisher package and exit sign like last year, and folding chairs. The tent, of course, there's no sales tax. The total cost of the tent is $24.25, and that's all. They'll bring it in, they'll set it up, they'll take it down, and they'll make sure that the street is patched back up and everything like they have in the past. So the start date for them to bring it in would be Thursday, July 2nd, and then they'll take it down Monday morning, August 3rd. So that's where that stands, and I've got all that information here for you. So, any other questions, or?
That was my only one.
If someone wanted to contact you about their kids being a part of it, who would they contact and the numbers that they would contact?
They can contact me. I've got some numbers here with our email, also with, this is just a flyer on here, but, and what I've done, of course, we have our post office box here, our mailing address. Currently, now this is my 3rd year as president, we will be passing the president mantle on to somebody else next year, which I've been very plain to all of our board members, as 3 years is kind of, after a nonprofit, you kind of got to rotate out, and plus I'm getting tired. But it's been a lot of work. But I have our business office on here, which is a Richmond address. It's actually my home and my phone number, but my email is on all this here, and anybody can contact me, or they can contact Brad anytime.
Is there an update on the delinquent taxes?
Everything has gone exactly the way I said it was going to go last year. There's never been a missed payment. We are close to halfway through the 2-year agreement. Everything has been on time, exactly correct. So that's where it stands. We have no problems making sure everything is still continued to be taken care of. It was an unfortunate situation that got compounded through some inaction with some board members, and it's been taken care of and handled, as I said it would be.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Murray.
Would you like to have this paperwork on the?
I can get it later.
I'll give it to Brad, and he'll make sure you have it. Okay.
Hi, I'm just here to say thank you for your continued support, and I brought some end-of-year reports and some folks for you to see how we've grown. This is Katie Hampton that's passing out your numbers for this year up to today's date at the elementary and at the high school, the number of students we've served, the growth that we've been able to do. Katie was a site coordinator in Centerville, and I moved her up to the office at the beginning of this year. So she's helping me with all of the data and the supervision across the county. So Kate, if you have questions, or Katie, do you want to go over those numbers for them to kind of give them an idea?
Yeah, so the front copy, that just shows, this is for the elementary and the junior senior high, how many students per grade level that we are servicing. And on the back side, it will show our saturation rate. So the coordinators in each building are required to service 10% of the student enrollment. And so I did like a side-by-side view of last year compared to this year at this exact date. So we are well on track. Actually, Sarah is exceeding her saturation rate right now. And then the bottom are just charts showing, so the three things that we really focus on are academics, attendance, and behavior. We do also do a basic need portion, but that just shows, the charts show if the students that we were working with are progressing in those categories or they're declining. So the purple shows the progress, and the yellow is those that are declining as of end of semester 1. Any questions on the data portion?
Does this include students that are like leaving and coming into the district as well?
Yeah, so the saturation, the school staff and our coordinators will identify the students that we need to work with. So that data is only on our caseload. So the kids that we're working with, and some of those are kids coming from out of the district, from a different school even. So they are included in there if they're on our caseload.
And then we have a new site coordinator at the elementary school. So I wanted you to meet Sarah, Mrs. Sarah Vincent.
You go up here,
And she has come up with some new ideas, and she has some additional hours due to your generous funds that you share with us. And so I wanted her to share with you what she's got planned for the littles here in your community.
Starting this month, I'm going to be going into all the classes at the elementary. And I found this book called Only One You, and it just talks about how we're all different. And I found the idea to how there's rocks, and I have someone locally, his name's Tyler Pope, I don't know if any of you know him, but he does like hauling gravel and rock, and he's donated 600 rocks to the elementary. So we're all going to do a lesson on the book, and then we're going to paint our own rocks, and we're going to have them displayed out front of the school.
Great idea.
That's a great idea.
And I'm also going to have a sign made that'll kind of explain the book a little bit out front. And I'm going to take pictures along the way, and just an activity for all the kids to get to enjoy.
So I was really excited about that when she was sharing it. So, and she was able to get he just automatically said, let me hand pick those rocks for you, and I'll donate them. So that was fabulous to hear. So, and then do you have any questions for Sarah? Okay.
Great idea.
And then this is Susan Miller, and Susan was added in September.
Started at the end of August.
Okay. And she is our mentor specialist, and she is covering the entire county, looking for mentors that can give 30 minutes of their time to a child from preschool all the way up to high school. So I'll let her tell a little bit about her program.
I was a teacher for 35 years. I retired, and then a month later, I was hired by communities and schools, and I don't even think of this as a job. It's my passion to help children. That's why I became a teacher, and I can just continue. And now I'm in 5 school corporations, including Nettle Creek School Corporation, and I'm looking for positive role models for these children. And 30 minutes once a week during the school year. And it's a great opportunity for people to show, like, I want to do something. How do I help my community? Be a lunch buddy and call me, and I'll get you set up. It doesn't take much time at all, and it's very rewarding for the child and for the adult, the lunch buddy. I mean, I could go on and on, but I know it's limited, so call me if you have any questions.
And she does do a background check according to the school's background, because we serve all of the schools in Wayne County except for Richmond. There is no mentoring at the Richmond Community Schools. So she covers we do Richmond Community Schools for mentoring, I'm sorry. So she does them all. And it doesn't take much, but she does do a one-on-one. So if you want to be a mentor, she does a one-on-one, and then she matches you with a child. And then there's like little games and things. So you're not just like, here's Johnny, and that's it. So she takes a lot of time to make sure that the kids are matched with you accordingly, so that it's not a bad match. So,
And I teach, with my background in education, I teach card games, and I have a whole bag of stuff, always games, and and I go over any kind of questions that might come up, but so far, so good. So please think about that, or tell your family, friends, anyone. It really is a great opportunity. I almost have 100 mentors in Wayne County. I started with 0. So My goal is 500, so help us reach that goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the other thing that we have growing at Communities in Schools is I will be starting another position just for the counties. It's called a resource navigator. And we requested funds for Centerville, Fountain City, Cambridge City, and Hagerstown. And that resource navigator will be in your communities through Communities in Schools, looking for those who are homeless and how we can get them connected so that they're not homeless. It just takes one paycheck. And so hopefully we'll be working with the schools and the community. And you know, if someone's lost their jobs and maybe they both worked at the same place, they're potentially, if they don't find some very quick and it's not what they were making before, could become homeless. So I found that to be a dire need, and so I kind of went after that with some of the schools in the county. Laura Blessing and the other superintendents got together and wrote that grant, and it was accepted for 3 years. So once I get this hired, it'll probably be May around that when I start them, because there's a lot of certifications that they'll have to take and be certified to be able to certify a family of homeless. It doesn't mean that Joe moved to Sam's house for the weekend. So that'll be starting up in May, and it'll be in full force next year. So we're growing, and it's all because of your support and the community's support, and we really, really appreciate it. So I'll leave these. Anybody who wants to see these, if you haven't seen them, these are our numbers from last year, and it has a story in here about Nate, who actually was homeless, and he happened to be one of Katie's site. She was a site coordinator at the time, and he happened to be one of Katie's students, and he is now in the service. And he reached out to thank her for changing his life. So that's in here. I'll leave these for you guys. Does anybody have any questions?
You're doing really good work.
Thank you so much.
Okay, right here, oh, there he is.
Hello, I'm going to sneak through here, guys. Thank you. Council member, just good evening. My name is Greg Weimer. I am here this evening with Klein Peter Consulting Group. I'd like to give you a quick update on the Ochre grant that the town has for the demolition of the property at 51 South Perry Street. The project has obtained its release of funds, partial release of funds to pay for the acquisition of that building. And so we've jumped through the environmental hoops. We have gone through the procurement process to acquire the services of Bob Warner to design the demolition of the project. So we're ready now. What I'm seeking this evening is council's approval for either the clerk treasurer or the president of the council to sign a claim form for $23,900, which is the acquisition price of the property, and then also to gain your permission to work with the town attorney to schedule a closing with the property owner in approximately about 3 weeks. We'll submit the claim for the funds tomorrow. Generally, it takes 15 to 21 days. And then I'll work with the clerk treasurer to make sure that we get those funds, the check written properly and so on. So I've got the claim form with me and would seek your approval to authorize signatures on that. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that permission be granted to either myself, board president, or clerk treasurer Julie Neal to sign claims as needed. All those in favor?
Aye.
So who would like
Well, I'll
to?
sign this one.
Okay, there's two there, one for your records and I'll take one for the state.
Do you know about when, I've got people that live around there been asking me about when you might start demolition. Because I know the one resident right to the south, which butts up against the building, is pretty concerned about this coming down.
And I think that's a better question for Bob.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm working on the specs. We had Patriot Engineering in last week to do a hazardous material study to make sure we're abating anything that needs abating. So the engineering's moving forward. I would guess that the actual demolition will occur June is probably when it will occur. That's my thinking right now. Look at bidding it in May and they'll have 60 days, something like that. If I can move that up at all, I will certainly try to do that, but that's kind of the schedule we're looking at.
I think, well, they were concerned, I think they just want to have as much notice as possible when it starts, so.
Yes, I mean, we'll have to advertise, have advertisement, and they'll have 3 weeks or so to submit bids, so, we'll have at least a month or more to let people know when the time frame will be for the actual demolition.
Okay, does anybody have anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Get out. Okay, thank you.
Okay, 131 West Main Street.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. And
Oh, okay.
I know the property owner that has continues, I think, burning illegally. He has a wood burner in his garage. I know I spoke to Bob about it, and I know Bob sent him a letter because it's not been installed according to code. We've sent him letters that he's in violation of the building code, and he has to bring it up to code before he can burn. He still has refused any of that. We sent him a letter about being a nuisance because of the illegal burning. We have a property owner just to the east of the property that lives there. The smoke's going in their home. This lady has severe allergies and severe asthma. And the smoke goes into her home the way this thing is set up, and it needs to stop, and we need to get it stopped. However we can get it done. I know I went to the house 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning because they all called in a garage fire. It was a garage fire. They've been told not to do this, but the gentleman, he's just refusing to cooperate with the town. He burns at all hours. We know that he's not burning just to keep the garage warm, because if you look at the garage itself, the windows are all busted out, and he's got boards up. The garage doors are about caving in anyway. So I've got my own suspicions that I won't go into tonight about what he's burning. I just think we need to do something legally and get him stopped, even if it's going to court and having a cease and desist order until this stuff is brought up to code. Once it's brought up to code, I don't know if, but then again, there are laws on what he can burn and what he can't burn it with, and it's in order to burn that wood burner is just a clean wood. You can't burn trash in it. Can't burn building material, construction material, anything like that. It has to be a clean wood product that he's burned. I've talked to the health department in Wayne County, which they really don't have that much jurisdiction over this, but they've been very helpful with me on giving me some ideas on how we can handle this. They sent the gentleman a letter also on the burn laws in the state of Indiana. I've contacted our wonderful state government, IDM, and failed to hear anything back from them. So, but it's a health issue to this lady and her family that live in this house next door, and it's a public nuisance. So something's needed to be done. So, Adam, like I said, we've sent him letters saying he's in violation, but he just won't stop. So.
Was the ordinance written? Was the ordinance written violation for being out of code on the pipe and
yes.
The junk place? So.
And I know Keith sent him a certified letter about moving some old junk cars from behind him.
Yes, which he has complied with all but one, and I think the one that is there actually falls under, it can be there. The ones that weren't have been removed.
And I think our last letter did state that we could fine him up to $500 a day, up to $2,500 a day if he didn't comply. And he still has not complied.
So if you want me to take action, I just need to have what Bob has sent him to see where in the process of the unsafe building code we're at.
Okay.
Because if we want Adam to run to court, I have no problem running to court, but I don't want to run to court and have the first offense be, before you got there, you had to do A through D, and you've only done A. So I just need to see where he's at, and if he's done A through D, then I can file a petition in court, get injunctive relief, seek damages. Can't promise I win or lose, but I can at least get in there and feel comfortable that I have the foundation to make my argument to a judge. So I presume you're handing me a folder that shows everything you've done.
Yeah, I've got all of it.
And so I can look at it, and then to the extent I review that in conjunction with our ordinance, and it says we have to do these 2 more steps, I can at least place you all on notice as to this is what I'm instructing Bob to do to complete these next 2 steps. But going the route of the unsafe building, I've got to make sure that's there before I go to court. I don't know of other routes through, I don't know of any other routes really, like a criminal matter or a public nuisance. Our nuisances talk mostly about noise and weeds and things like that, not a lot about smoke. It's probably hard for you to some extent because he's burning in a fireplace inside a building. That falls a little different than your outdoor fire pit burning and things like that. So I think the best way to go to ding a person if they do not want to comply with what are absolutely reasonable requests to just fix your problem so that you don't endanger your neighbors. It's absurd that we have to do this, but the nice thing is, my thought would be a court may see the absurdity in it as well, and may very well think that a $250 or $500 or $2,500 a day penalty is something that needs to be impressed upon this person and therefore uphold it. And so, hopefully this person watches this and hears this or sees some reporting of this, because I have no problem, and I don't think our courts have problems, seeing an ordinance that permits up to $2,500 a day saying, I'm sorry, sir, you knew it, you waited 10 days, that's $25,000, and take it up on appeal if you don't think that's reasonable. Especially if we've done the work that we are supposed to do before going to court. So that's what I'll do for you.
Okay.
Well, you drive by when he's burning, I mean, I know what trash burns smells like when you're burning, and you're driving by there and you got thick black smoke coming out of the vent.
Pictures and videos are always nice things that attorneys like to have when they go marching into court. So have them again, have them time-stamped, whatever. Those are all very helpful things to show that here's a letter that was dated February 15th, here's a video February 18th, another letter dated March 3rd, here's a video March 5th. Those are all really nice things that attorneys like to take to court to impress upon a judge that an injunction is warranted and that potentially damages are too.
All right. Thank you.
And we'll just roll right into you.
Okay, so, and I'll work with you, just make sure I have what you have, and then I'll contact you after I review it.
Okay.
AEP letter regarding liquidity, I followed up with AEP again today. I'm not sure that we exchanged information after our last meeting where you said, hey, yeah, let's try to get 150,000 released. I don't think it's a problem. I just said, hey, do you want to do the addendum? Do you want me to do the addendum? I'm sure we'll have it in place at your next meeting. Letter to Norfolk and Southern, I reached out to the 2 names I had from your drawing. I included in that the railway kind of designee from NDOT, as well as the main person who was with the 2-name architectural group. And I got a response that at least, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you, I got it back today, but was, hey, we expect all the paving to be done in April. But I don't know if that relates specifically to the railroad, because those 2 people, one of them apparently is no longer there. I got a bad email address back from them.
and the other one I haven't received a response.
Okay.
So I'll at least be able to show you, hey, this is what they've responded, and you can say, well, that's 1/10 of the problem, we still need 9/10 to go, or that really solves it, I'm glad to know it's gonna be done in April.
Okay, all right.
Next thing I have is, we've done this in the past, and then we didn't, and then we did, and then we didn't, but what happens when our firm represents all of the different municipalities around us is we get somebody on board and they talk to me, but I've got an interlocal agreement that we've done previously between the town of Fountain City and Hagerstown for their use of the town court for ordinance enforcement. It's been approved by Fountain City, and I seek for you all to approve it today. I've reviewed it, it's in proper form. There is a final paragraph, basically informed consent to conflicted representations, because Fountain City needed a new attorney and we found him a real good one, an associate at our office. And you guys have an attorney, I don't know if he's any good or not, but you got one. And he's from that same office. So conceivably there's a conflict there, and so this document says, hey, both towns, we recognize we're using legal counsel from the same office, we waive any conflict. Otherwise, they foot the bill, they provide their own legal representation, town court gets its fees, the town is out nothing for their use of the town court. So I have 2 copies. If it's approved, you can sign one and keep, and sign one for me to take back.
We need a motion on this.
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion that we accept the interlocal agreement between our town and the town of Fountain City, Indiana, for the use of our town court.
Been moved and seconded that we accept the interlocal agreement entered into and by between the town of Fountain City, Indiana and Hagerstown, Indiana, to allow them to use our city court. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. The last thing I have, and this is an odd one, Chris called me today, I don't know what happened. Obviously I was asleep at the wheel, I guess, but I reviewed an ordinance, or not an ordinance, a bid on your 2020 paving. I made sure all the legals looked real particular. I knew we had a meeting in March, but apparently I was blinded by the fact that the date in March and the year in March were not accurate. So this went out, so there's an inaccuracy on the dates that the bids are to be received. But despite that, people way smarter than me know that they want to get some bids in, so they did. They put their bids in on time, they've all been opened. We expect no further bids based on the number of bid packages that were received. And those bids resulted in an initial opening of Robertson Paving at $512,390.19, and I believe the town has used them previously.
Correct.
And basically vetted them before they used them previously.
Correct.
Went and talked with other people, so we used them previously. E&B Paving came in at $649,276.75. Milestone Paving came in at $713,575. And then after the initial opening, but before the March date referenced in the bid, a bid came in at $637,944.90 from All Star Paving. So I think all of them have been reviewed and the decision has been made to go with Robertson Paving, which is not only the cheapest by in excess of $100,000, but was used previously and was vetted before that. So I just, for clarification for all of you, in case you have any questions asked, that's where we are and how we got here on the paving. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I had 5 things written down, and I think I've talked about 5 things. So I'm good.
Okay, Brad.
Well, being new on the EDC, I don't have a lot to report, except for I think last month, Brian did say that I went to the ribbon cutting ceremony for a Clemens Food Group, which is they bought Maxwell Milling I was pretty impressed with the company. I've maybe learned since then that they're not using some of the local vendors that the previous company did, so maybe we change that. Another thing that we had a meeting today that kind of pertained to us, there's a person on our board there that's also on the Reed Health Board. I guess they're having trouble finding housing for new doctors and health, people coming in for the health field. I assume it's more of the upscale housing, and they want some in Hagerstown as well as Richmond. So just found it interesting that's a big need that Reed Health is after. So
If we know of one, who should we contact?
I'll get you the name of the board director, the name of the guys on our board. I think that's about it. There's some things going on at the Gateway, but nothing specific that I can talk about. But I know that they're looking at some other businesses coming in out there. And a side shoot, I don't know how long we'll be able to stay on this board because I'm running for county commissioner this year, and if I happen to get that, then I won't be able to stay on the EDC board. So, but that'll be a while yet before that happens. So just give you a warning on that. And last but not least, I want to give Keith Faulkner kudos for, I had a knee surgery a few months ago, and a physical therapist came to my house and ultimately locked her keys in her car. And fortunately, Keith came and helped her get into her car, and we really appreciate that.
That was definitely a team effort getting into that one.
It was not, it was cold, it was not easily done, but we finally got it. So, thanks to him.
Parks.
No meeting in February. They do have one planned for next Monday.
Police. I'm around the corner.
The only thing I have, well, I've got two quick things. This is my year-end report. I won't go through everything. It's basically about the same as we've had in the past. We answered a little bit, a few over 2,000 calls this year. The problem is those numbers are kind of hard to determine how accurate it is because we get a lot of our calls for service from walk-ins. This is just stuff that came through the dispatch center. So we probably, 25% of our overall calls probably are walk-in or direct calls. Some of the first page here is just, some of the basic highlights from that year. One of the things I always like to touch on is the archery program that police department still runs. We had a increase of about 13 students this year. The biggest increase was in 7th grade, which that's the first year that they can join the program. For the last couple of years, we've had a lot of interest at the elementary level. It's just logistically, we haven't been able to ever work that out. So once those kids have now reached 7th grade and can join the program, we had a bunch that come out. This also is the first year that we've got several students that started the program from the very beginning in 7th grade that are now graduating this year. I believe we have, I think it was 6 that have been through the program every year since 7th grade. So that's still a great program, very positive. We're usually in excess of 30, close to 40 kids every year. Really the only program that probably competes with that athletically would be the football program, and our numbers are probably pretty consistent with what they're getting. The other thing I always like to point out is we did 531 hours of training this year on a $1,000 budget. Worked out about $1.88 an hour training. So that's quite a feat. We take advantage of that from a couple different areas, either finding a lot of free training. Some of our instructors donate time at the academy, which in return gets us free training hours there. So that's basically how we've been able to maintain that level of training with such a small training budget. The last couple sheets is just the breakdown on type of calls, how many we had. One of the sheets in there shows our e-ticket stats. E-ticket is basically covers any infraction, misdemeanor, any vehicle-related type stuff or ordinance violations. We wrote 297 of them this year, but the other thing that I like about it is 190 of them were warnings. We constantly strive with the officers to try to curtail bad driving and that type of stuff with warnings versus citations. We're big believers that, you know, giving somebody a $200 ticket, in a lot of situations, it just makes things worse for the person involved. So we stress that we try to tackle that more with warnings. Other than that, if there's anything there, if you have any questions, you know, about that, or there's a lot of stuff to read through. Next meeting, if you have some questions from this, let me know. And the only other thing I have is we're actively right now trying to find somebody for one of our school crossing guard positions. Jerry Spencer is basically retired from that. He's, from what I understand, he's been here quite a while. That's a difficult job to fill due to the hours of it, you know, with it being a half an hour in the morning and a half an hour in the evening. It's, you know, that's not something that appeals to everybody, and it's, you know, not a large amount of money also. So until we get that filled, we're covering that spot with the duty officer in the morning, and we have a whopping 2 kids that cross there every day. That's basically it. But we're still having someone there, and if anybody knows anybody that's interested in that crossing guard position, send them our way. It'd be perfect for somebody that's retired or, you know, just looking for something to do to stay busy. So if you have any ideas, please send my way, because it's a tough one to fill. Other than that, I don't have anything else. The new car is in service now. We've got it up and going. The car that's replacing, we've parked for now. Like I said, we discussed in the past, that's going to be targeted for SRO positions in August once that comes about. So for now, we're just leaving that car parked over there by the fire station until those positions come up. But the new one is up and going. So that's all I had. If anyone else has anything.
How's the reservists looking? I know we had, you know, a lot of our reserve officers who have moved on and whatnot, so.
Well, it was a unique situation because the one full-time officer that we had to replace with a reserve, the full-time went back to the reserve spot. So we're still at full strength on the reserves. We just flipped. Now he's probably not going to be with us till April or May. So at some point we'll have to, you know, replace that spot. And, you know, while we're speaking on the reserves, if you look on there, I always put it in there. Our reserves this year in 2019, they worked 610 and a half hours. That works out to about 51 hours a month that they provide service. And as always, I break that down, the cost benefit to the town, because probably 90% of the time when a reserve officer works a shift, it is to cover for a full-time guy that's either off sick, vacation, training. So that allows us to not have to pay overtime for someone to cover those shifts. So it's quite a bit of a savings over the course of the year when you look at the amount of hours they work. Thanks.
Rick.
Just an average month in the fire department. In January, or in February, I'm sorry. We still are getting ready to submit the grant for the new turnout gear. Also, we're filling out our applications due. We go every year to the FDIC over in Indianapolis, which is the Fire Department Training or Instructors Conference, which is one of the largest in the country. Kind of iffy right now because we have a lot of people that come from all over the world to this. What's going on? We have a lot of people from China and South Korea and all of them in different parts of the country and the world come to this fire conference. So I know a lot of places are already canceling conferences, so I don't know if this is gonna be a go or not, so I hope it does. It's a big turnout, we enjoy going over for the training and stuff that's provided. We had 2 young gentlemen on a department that passed there and took their basic mandatory classes, and they passed that. We have added 2 new firefighters. They're all going through their, as soon as we get a class scheduled for them, Mel Fisher and Sarah King. So hopefully they'll turn out to be good firefighters and be with us for a long time. We're still down a couple, so still looking for some nice young, strong men or women that wants to be firefighters. They can see me or see Bob. We got applications for them to fill out. So that's it.
Okay. Airport.
Didn't have a meeting, but I got communication today that they want to start having meetings starting sooner in the year. So the other part of the communications was regarding the quality of work that was done on the airport hangar. It appears to be leaking, and there's some door jam issues down there. They met with a representative from the company that did the work today and talked about putting some sealer on the roof. Apparently it's leaking in I believe it was the floodplain. So,
is it a new roof?
I believe so.
And they just want to seal it?
I don't know. That's what's being
Yeah, Chris Bloss met with them today.
Yeah,
so,
I've got some letter that they met with them. They're supposed to look at the roof, I think, soon, and then the door jam issue is going to be taken care of on Saturday. But apparently the doors are jamming when they open and close.
What kind of warranty was on that, Chris?
I don't recall. We'd have to look back at the contract on it.
If it's under warranty, they should be responsible for
Well,
it.
I would hope so. It just was completed in the last 60 days.
And not just patching it here or there, or you fix it the right way.
So hopefully those issues will get resolved quickly.
Planning Commission.
Yeah, we do not have a quorum, so we do not have it. We're able to have a meeting.
We have to have one in March.
We need to. Yeah.
By law.
Correct.
Okay, your turn.
My turn. We got a wastewater treatment plant. AECOM has been performing some additional Dana remediation testing down at Graceland Heights. We've been having some slow flowing areas out there with the sewage, so they've been Kool-Aid's been coming in and jet vacuuming that. Water department repaired a leak on the corner of South Perry Street and Factory Street. Another thing that we need to do is with our water towers, we need to have hire Norman No Company in again. The last time they were in to inspect the water towers was 2009. And so a typical paint cycle for water towers is about every 12 or 13 years, and we try to get them in a year or two in advance before that. So I'm going to contact them and see if they can come out and look at it this summer, and if not, and then in the fall or worst case next spring sometime. I know they're pretty busy. We had there was an accident out on State Road 1. Our electric department had to do some repairs out there. They've been working on installing some new LED lights out of our barn. Streets department getting everything ready to go for the mowing season again. Plowing the streets. We've got plenty of road salt remaining, so hopefully it stays that way. And other business, Adam touched on the Norfolk and Southern. The reason that's such a problem is they're going to be replacing a bridge out here on the west side of town on May 5th, and all the traffic that goes on 38 is going to be diverted over onto Turnpike, going past the park, and that really concerns us a lot. I know that the police department has suggested having semis rerouted either 70 or 36 instead of 38, because if they're going down through there, it would just be way too narrow down through there by the park. Just down here on the list, the garage on South Elm Street. We've had several people look at it. We do have one bid as of today, so that bidding has finally started. I believe that it was a maximum of 60 days bidding, was that right, Julie?
60 days from February 5, February 12 is when we published. You don't have to wait the full 60.
Okay.
As soon as a bid comes in and you all want to accept it, you can. Sorry,
That's okay.
steal your thunder.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna make them feel like I'm worth being
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And we already heard about, Bob's been working with environmental, we already heard about that on 51 South, Perry Street. The only other thing all the departments been working on, specifying and trying to figure out what we're gonna do as far as the new jetback truck goes. And we've met with Best Equipment and Brown Equipment. And I have a couple, if you want to pass it around there, next to the gavel, some sheets. Preliminary quote wise, somewhere in the neighborhood of 400,000 to around 450,000 is the preliminary quotes that they came up with. There are some different options as far as paying. Now this hasn't been out to bid or anything like that yet, but these are just some quotes to get us talking about where the finances could come from for that. Julie, you're probably a little bit better prepared to give some of your ideas on how that can be paid for.
Well, yeah, it's just, you should all have a copy of how I divided it 4 different ways.
And that's if we pay for it up front.
Right. Because they had a leasing agreement that was what, 3.9% or something like that.
And leasing and their
I
interest.
mean, if we had the money, but there's just options that they had.
And then as far as our departments, let's see, we got Luke and Jeb and Joe Faber right here that have each been in the meetings with us when we met with Brown and Best. So if you have any questions or, I don't know, Joe or Jeb, one or the other of you, or Luke, would you like to speak about kind of what we've been looking at and the different options that are available and that kind of thing? I don't know, one of you guys would like to start first?
You know the trucks better than I do.
So our current truck now is a 3-yard debris body with 500 gallons of water. And one thing that we talked about was going to a minimum of a 9-yard debris body. And it's got, you know, depending on the manufacturer, 1,000 gallons of water, 1,400. But one thing we kind of talked about was maybe stepping up to a tandem axle truck, because at the 9-yard level, realistically, weight-wise, it's not 100% legal to be going down the road if you're full of debris and full of fresh water. So if you go up to a tandem axle truck, you can get legal both directions, but then also for longevity of the truck, I think that we would benefit to go with a tandem axle. We looked at positive displacement blowers, which has got more vacuum than the fan system that we have on our truck now. It's going to be a bigger water system, be able to flush more debris out of the lines. And then for Jeb, hydro excavating is going to be, it's going to be quicker than what we have now, more power for the vacuum system. And then just, it's really going to come down to what we want to do, what company to go with, and, you know, and the payment terms, obviously. So, any questions on the truck, we can go over that for sure.
Did you guys get them spec'd out like you want them?
Yeah,
On
like
both of these quotes?
Best Equipment is, that one there is actually, that's pretty much the truck. Brown Equipment was kind of, I think he gave a range, Chris, because we really didn't sit down and hammer out this, and this on that truck for Brown.
I think one of the options, and I was looking at this, I might be repeating what he just said, I hope I'm not, but is it called a decanting option, is that right? Where you can, the trash pump, where you can drain a hose out the back of it, and any water that goes in there, then you can pass that water on into the storm sewage, which keeps your tank empty of liquid for a longer period of time. And the second option was I'm not good on the terminology, the sprayer, the cleaner that cleans out the tank.
Yeah, the pump off will be, it's a hydraulically driven trash pump, mounts up on the back of the truck. So like Chris said, we can, you know, with a 9-yard capacity or an 11-yard capacity, whatever it is, we can actually sit at the hole and then pump that water right back into the sewer, you know, as it fills up the truck. And then it's got a debris body spray out system in there to where we just push a button, spray all the material out. Wireless remote control, so one guy can be running the digging one and the other guy can be running the wireless remote right there next to him. So that part of it's a little bit nicer than what we currently have.
And another thing, I feel like we're playing trades here. Another thing that's handy about it though is the pumping ability with this. If we had if you needed to set a new pole in someone's backyard in Graceland Heights, you would be able to go out. You might want to explain that a little bit better with the.
So with the PD blower, they're designed more for lateral pull, so we could actually take that thing and get enough vacuum hose to go in the backyard, vacuum up the hole, as opposed to trying to get our big digger truck back there and the bucket truck and everything. You know, we could just have the digger truck stand and pull up, basically, is what we, you know what I mean, as opposed to going back and digging and stuff. We could use that truck. It's probably, I'm guessing the average hole to dig for just utility poles, probably looking at, 10 minutes. With the digger truck, the excavation truck is gonna take it down probably 50%. So all the utilities and stuff are, we gotta stay within 3 foot away from all the utilities we all do for digging. But with that, we still gotta stay within a variance, but there's still not the risk of the locate guys being off. So I think that, speaking for the electric department, we're gonna utilize it more for pole replacement also.
So, have you guys had a chance to look at any of these trucks in action or not?
We have not yet. I know Brown Equipment, they were saying that they will have essentially the truck that we talked about next month. Best Equipment, I think they would have the truck in the same, they got one coming in that was in the pumper show, and they got something very similar right now too that we could get set up also.
I believe the one on the cover there is the one that, isn't that the same one that Brown Equipment has right now that they're using for demos?
I think so,
The one that
yeah.
they would bring us.
Yep.
So how do they do the demos? Is that something that you just go somewhere that you watch it, or?
No, they come here.
Okay.
I assume that Brown Equipment does also, but they come here and basically what I tell everybody, the sewer department and these guys, find the worst possible spots that you got.
Yeah.
Just go find out what it'll do. I mean, that's usually what they want, they want to be able to prove what's capable of, so.
The next question I have, do we have other small towns, cities around that we could, kind of Cooley comes in here and does a lot of the workforce as well. Could we do, basically use our own stuff and go there and be reimbursed for it, like say Town Green Sport needed something done? Or is that something we?
I would think we probably could. Yeah, we've been working out agreements with smaller communities, like doing street sweeping for Green Fork or that kind of thing. So I imagine that's probably something that we could explore. Of the jet vac trucks, there's 3 main brands that are sold and serviced around here, and that's Vacon, which is Best Equipment, Vactor, which is Dehaney Equipment. We've not met with Dehaney yet. And then Brown Equipment, the model they're selling here is a sewage equipment company. You call it SECA? SEC, Sewage Equipment Company of America. And so those are the 3 brands that are most typically found around here and serviced around here.
Would we have, in terms of this size, it's 9 to 11 yard capacity. Is this something that's going to be bigger than most around here, or are we going to be up to par with everybody else? Or
9 yard for 9 yards probably. For our size is pretty standard, but the 11 is like Vacon. They typically don't do a 9 yard on a tandem axle chassis. Just engineers haven't designed that. So, like I said, the 11. I think Richmond runs a 12 on theirs. I think Newcastle has 11 or 12 and a 9 yard. So they're pretty. It's pretty much the
one reason we've been discussing the double axle in the rear too was just we thought that would have better sales. If we keep it 10 years from now than just having a single axle with a big tank on it. So we're trying to also think in those terms. I think what we've had for the last several years has just kind of been a dog. Really based on what we need and the ability to sell it in several different factors.
Would they be required to be CDLs to drive them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you put it out for bid, we are going to sit down where each company can bid on it. It's going to be the same thing on the specifications, so it's apple to apples when they're bidding everything.
It should be. Like Best Equipment and Brown Equipment, They both offer the exact same water pump. The blower may be a different brand, but it's gonna be super comparable. I think the only thing that we're gonna wind up running into is Brown Equipment doing, I think Brown and Doheny can do 9-yard on tandem axles. Best Equipment can't, so that'll be an exception for, they're gonna do an 11-yard. Vactor doesn't do the style water pump, they only do one water pump, so they'll have an exception on that one. But other than that, they're all gonna be very
One
close.
area where they are going to differ though is if it's a single engine or a double engine operating the front and the back.
Correct. Brown Equipment doesn't offer a dual engine machine. Both of the other ones offer dual engine and single engine machines, so it's really gonna be
Is
kind
that
of.
the $50,000 difference between the two bids?
I'm sorry?
Is that the difference of $50,000 between the two bids?
I don't know, I haven't looked at them, no.
I thought it was interesting too that they were telling us that you could have, when it's the 2 engine models, you could have diesel, gas, or gas diesel, or what was it?
You
It
can
was
have diesel, and you can have
diesel.
obviously chassis engine diesel with a gas rear engine. That saves probably now with all the emissions, I'm guessing $25,000 right there. You can run with a dual engine machine, I know at least VACCON, you can run auxiliary hydraulics, which benefits the sewer department. They can jet a sewer line without that front engine running at all. You know, you can run it all off the back end and we can all sit here around the truck and talk just like this. Obviously a single engine machine can't, you know, I mean, it's the preference on that I think is, that's just choice, it's not really anything.
You know, this is a piece of equipment that going into this, I thought, well, maybe we can find a really nice used one somewhere, and actually I have found a really nice used one. However, when talking to the different companies and talking to Joe, and he's very familiar with it, the ones, what were the years you said between 2000,
07 and 11 or 12 international.
You have to be very careful with
emissions on them because they didn't do the DEF fluid and they did the advanced EGR, so they burn engines down like crazy, you know, so internationals now went to a Cummins and analysis, so the new internationals are.
I'm concerned that if we were to buy a used one, even if it was 10 years newer than what we have, that we would be running into issues like that and be right back where we're at right now.
How many CDLs do we have right now?
1 or 2, I'm not certain.
One, or I have one, I don't know if,
One.
I'm not sure, of one.
So one.
I think it's a CDL and chauffeurs is what I believe we have right now, which is, yeah, 1.5.
Yeah.
So right now, you'd be the only one that would be legal to operate the double axle one, right?
It'll be, realistically, unless we go to a truck exactly, basically like we have now,
Yeah.
it's gonna wind up being that way even on a single axle, because they're all gonna be
Oh, single.
over 26,000.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, so regardless on that,
Right.
which I don't think that we are gonna benefit from going to the 3-yard like we have now, that is just so small, so.
Right.
So we need to encourage our employees to take their CDLs.
I agree. That's kind of where I'm going with that.
And I think we do have it set up to where if they get their CDL certification, that's a bump in their salary.
And I think that most everybody right now, I think is, you can run whatever chassis obviously you would want, Peterbilt, Mack, it doesn't matter, but a lot of them are running Freightliners, which that I know of. The closest Freightliner is probably 6.5 dozen others. Dayton, which is right there on 70, and then Stoops and Anderson, which is actually probably Muncie, it's closer to Muncie technically, around 69. So, that's, and then Indianapolis has one also, but that's where that part of it could go.
What will we do with the one we have now?
I would just like to just get rid of it. I don't know if anyone else has anything that they would like to
I can tell you right now, both salesmen that we dealt with, they pretty much said that we're, it's, you're not gonna get anything for it. They're gonna show you obviously something. So I don't know if we, we got Gov Deals, there's like an iron equipment or something like that, an auction place, or if we advertise it local, I really don't know.
Scrap it out.
Do what?
We'll probably end up
Well,
scrapping it
there was
out.
conversation about keeping it for a certain project, and we kind of abandoned.
We had thought about that, but I am almost of the opinion that once we got this and we saw how much better this worked than what we had, that we probably.
I'm okay with that, I just wanted to make sure.
That would be my gut feeling, unless these guys feel any different than me. I don't know. My gut feeling would be that we wouldn't use it enough to keep it running properly, and that it would just.
It's additional maintenance cost.
Correct. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's been in the shop more the last 2 years that it has been active, you know, so I'm afraid, okay, we have it for a backup, and say, you know, the new truck in 3 or 4 years has to go get some work, and we need that truck. I don't trust it enough to say, yeah, it's gonna work in an emergency situation.
I would just say we just reach out to private contractors.
Right.
Versus maintaining a truck for that purpose. And is the lease options off the table?
There are the lease options, but the more we've researched that, I really don't see what the advantage would be with this. It's a little bit different than a vehicle from what our conversations were, in that with the lease, it's not beyond the 1-year warranty. There really isn't the coverage that you would get with a vehicle lease. And I know I even said, well, what about tires? You know, which I didn't know we'd ever even need tires maybe to replace it once within 10 years. But, you know, he's like, well, we would have to negotiate that in. So, you know,
that's what I was wondering when you brought that up. Like,
sure.
There's so many things in the lease.
Now, when I did check with our insurance company, they said that it would insure just the same whether we owned it or leased it. So.
I think the lease kind of, what they set that up as is, you know, whatever the number is, if it's $50,000 a year that you make the payment on, you know, you set that as a line item, and then you might as well say it's there for eternity, you know what I mean? Just return the 7 years is kind of what, I mean, I think both of them kind of made it sound like 7 was like the magic number.
Well, I brought up in the email was the fact that what happens if things are limit 4 years into it?
Yeah.
Can we get rid of it? Are there penalties to get rid of it?
Right.
Julie brought that up today, didn't you?
I hope we can just flat out purchase one. Would be the best bet.
That's the best.
And I just want to make sure it's what you guys want when we do it, because that's a huge amount of money we're going to be chucking down.
Quite a bit.
And I think that no matter what truck we go with, is going to be easier to physically run than what we have now. So, I mean, obviously there'll be training periods, but it's going to be easier picked up on than what we've had for anybody. So I think it's going to be more versatile that way too.
What kind of time frame are we looking at on this?
They said, you know, like a 3 to 4 month build, unless we were to buy one that they have as a demonstrator model, which.
That's what I was wondering, if this one you mentioned here is a demonstrator.
This one right here is the black one.
That's something that would be an option to jump onto. If they warranted it the same.
Yeah,
which I believe he said they do from date of sale,
it's just
right?
a 1 year warranty.
1 year bumper to bumper, and then, you know, Cummins has usually got like a 5 year, Allison's usually got like a 5 year, you know, and then everything breaks up from there. You know, we can, and then one thing we talked about was letting whoever we choose go and set up coming in either, you know, every 6 months or once a year, and just go ahead and do a certain main service, give it a good check over why it's here, why they're there, you know, let's, you know, so that way we make sure that everything's kept up and in operable condition, obviously.
And if we get a bigger truck, we have a place to put it inside.
We'd have to do some rearranging out of the barn. We've discussed that. I think we would. We were talking about, now that we own Marvin Stoller's old airplane hangar down at the airport, moving the larger bucket truck and the digger derrick down there, and then making some room for it out of the garage that way. I mean, it's a big truck, so it's gonna take some room.
And with it being a big truck, the tandem axle, is that going to be limiting on any bridges or culverts or any place you're going to have to get it into?
No, it's yeah, they're all 12, between 12 foot and 12 sticks. So we're going to be
one thing, yeah, with this ability to go in, was 150 foot that we can go in. I'm trying to remember what the numbers were.
You can go,
or you can go with this kind of section, this type of pump. You know, so if we had any work to do out in one of the alleys or something, just park on the street. I know the maneuverability in the alleys was kind of a concern. We thought, well, you know what, we really don't need it because it's going to be a different setup than what we currently have.
On the demo models, typically how long has, and I know this is probably a question we don't have the answer to, but how long has those vehicles been demoed? I mean, are we gonna get something that's been demoed for a year, 2 years? I mean, because you take away the life of the vehicle at that point, so.
I think that Brown Equipment said that particular, whichever truck they had as a demo was, it's been out 6 or 7 months. You know, and they all manufacturers can find you a demo, you know, because they have trucks throughout the country anyway. But also with that, you know, a demo model, sometimes I feel like it is as good, if not better, an option, because a lot of times the quirks are worked out of it.
Right.
You know, I mean, so yeah, it is.
Oh, does the demo have everything you want?
Most generally, they're gonna have more, you know, because they're trying to sell options.
Right.
You know, but I think that, you know, like this Brown Equipment, their truck is, they sell simplicity. I mean, theirs is the biggest simplicity. So their truck, I think, without like getting into, you know, the few options that we did talk about, their truck is fairly standard, I think, across the board. Now the other manufacturers, I mean, they got computerized screens on the front, touch screen, which we don't want any of that stuff. So the other ones, to find that demo model may be harder, just because they always try to push the latest and greatest things, so.
There is a website that you can buy through government entities called Sourcewell, and I know that a lot of Greenfield recently bought a jetback truck, and I think they ended up buying from Dehaney, but they bought it through Sourcewell, and you're able to save some money. I don't understand completely how that works. I don't know, Brad, if you do, or Adam does, or maybe you do, but it's a buying program that Adam, are you familiar with it?
No, not that particular name.
Okay. But that's something that I've been talking to them over at Greenfield, and I can investigate that better. I know they investigate that more. They said they saved between $10,000 and $12,000 on their jetback truck by doing that.
I can offer you a place to go with that old one that might get you more money. There's an auction that's held about 4 times a year out on 36, farmer equipment and town equipment, all kinds of things. It's surprising what stuff brings, so.
Well, I'd say if we're gonna buy one, then we need to start getting our guys in the CDL classes and get them certified before, you know, not wait till it's here and then go to the class.
And what is the time frame of putting together the money purchase it, Julie?
It's immediate.
It's immediate? So if they brought us a demo model down here that met their needs,
I mean, I guess
in
it
the next
depends.
month or so, we'd be able to make a purchase.
Like the stormwater, we haven't appropriated it, so we'd have to have a special appropriation.
It's basically immediate.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not a 6-month window.
Right.
No. You'd have a special meeting for the appropriation.
Yeah.
Adam, legally, if someone comes in and has a truck and it's $400,000 or whatever it is, can we buy that outright, or does it still need to go out for some sort of a bid or something, or how does that?
I think we probably would still have to notice it for bids, but it's worth looking at.
Okay.
Just because your value's so high that I think you have to do that with your money.
Okay.
But again, you'd be limiting it to, I mean, there's no problem in limiting what your specs are.
Sure.
So you may force the issue.
Sure.
But right off the cuff, I'm not sure of any way around it. There may be, I just need to look into it.
Okay.
Is everybody done? All right, Chris, you got anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, Julie?
We have one bid for it's the minimum, 4,750. That's the only one we've gotten so far.
How long has it been out for bid now? How many weeks?
It's been like a month.
Has it been a month?
Well, okay, the third, wasn't it
Approximately.
February 13th? Yeah.
You got 40 more days to go,
And we can accept whenever we want.
right? So you'll have another town council meeting before your period expires.
I mean, I see kind of what Adam was saying there, so maybe wait another town council meeting, see if we can do something there. I mean, that's my thought.
Okay, it's been a month since we got the first bid, correct? So from the time it was
It
released.
advertised like the 13th.
It advertised on 2/5 and 2/12. So you got one 14 days after your last, or not 14, I guess almost 20 days after your
It
last.
depends on how fast we want to get rid of it, get it out of our hands and get somebody else to it.
You're not paying taxes or mowing yet, right?
Right. I think kind of wait it out, maybe get another bid in. If we do, great. If we don't, then not like we're hurting. We have to have the money now, so that's just my thought. Don't let me hang it up. I mean, I'll obviously vote with whatever you guys want to vote with.
I don't have a problem waiting another council meeting.
I talked to someone that had looked at it, and they said that structurally, the foundation, everything is perfect. It's, there's a lot of issues with the, obviously, the roof, but more than just it caving in.
Is this a house you're talking about?
No, it's the old,
Garage there
garage
on Elm Street,
on Elm Street down there.
behind where Roy used to live, Roy Johnson.
That's like
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that the annual report has been finished and it was published in the newspaper. So, that's it.
You actually had something this
I did, I actually had some.
Anybody got anything else?
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion.
Motion for adjournment?
Wait,
Oh.
claims?
Motion that we accept the claims as submitted by our court treasurer.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept claims as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?